All right, so Marquita, you want to introduce yourself first?
Yes, I can do that.
Hey, Ashanti.
I am Marquita, fitness coach and founder of Harambee Wellness that is over here struggling with my Facebook, but we're gonna make it do what it do. I am a certified personal trainer and health coach. I basically make health and fitness make sense for the everyday woman and yeah, just in a nutshell without giving like too much detail because then we won't have nothing to talk about if I tell you everything I do.
Good point. Good point.
Yes.
I think you left us on Facebook, Marquita. You got to come back.
Okay. I am.
Okay, so that's Marquita. So I'll introduce myself. My name is Janae. Well, some of you know me, some of you don't. And I published my first book this past January. It's called The Process of Letting Go, 40 Days of Rediscovery and Healing. And it really discusses just my journey dealing with depression and just kind of the process I went through of overcoming it. So today, Marquita and I are going to just kind of talk about our personal journeys and experiences with physical fitness and mental health and awareness. So, of course, Marquita talked about Harambee Wellness a little bit. So, if you just can give us a little more of a rundown of what Harambee Wellness is and what you do with Harambee Wellness.
Well, I think the best way to start with that is to explain what Harambe, the word Harambe means. It is a Swahili word that means all pulled together. And I apologize for anyone that's watching on Facebook because it just went out. But it is a Swahili word that means all pulled together. And that is the basis for everything that I do through Harambe Wellness, and that is each other, be healthy and active, and live your best life every day. So when I started Harambe Wellness in 2017, it was with that intention in mind. I've been in the fitness industry for 10 years now. I started in 2001 as a Zumba instructor, and that progressed as time went on. I developed the moniker of the Zumba Diva. Everybody knew me for Zumba. And then I decided, like, okay, I love this fitness thing. I love helping people fall in love with fitness the same way that I did because Zumba was my gateway to other forms of fitness. And so it came to a point where I was like, I want to do more. I want to do more than just encouraging people to have dance fitness. And that's how Harambe Wellness came about. I just figured, okay, let's make this a for real deal thing. And here I am now, 4 years later.
All right. Good place. Good place. So, you want to answer this question first, or do you want me to go?
I want you to, because I don't remember the question. Wait,
Okay.
what's the question?
So the first question is like our current life status. What are we up to right now? So okay, so I'll go first. So as I stated, I just Facebook. I apologize. Unfortunately, Marquita got kicked off of our Facebook Live.
I'm coming
Um,
back.
you can join us on Instagram Live, but this will be posted later, so you guys will be able to see it later. But I'm gonna keep it running just in case I say something that's important. Um, so currently, what am I up to? Like I said, I published my first book back in January of this year. Along with that, later I also published an 8-week planner and a reflection journal that kind of works with the book, even though you can purchase them independently as well. And so I do work a regular full-time job, so there's that. And when I'm not working, I'm usually working out, which is something we're going to get into as far as the physical fitness journey. And then I'm in the process of creating something new. My first book was very spiritually focused, but my goal is to write some fictional work. So that's the plan moving forward, and I have some things that are kind of in progress right now. So, Miss
Awesome.
Marquita, the question: what are you currently up to right now? Like,
What a
what is
flavor.
Harambee Wellness doing right now?
Right now. So as always, I realize I am the epitome of doing too much. However, I will say, oh, I did send a request on Facebook too, by the way.
Yep, I see.
Um, I have narrowed my focus to be more intentional about what I'm doing for my own self health and preservation, so that I don't burn out. So right now I am working on number one, what's called Get Fit and Flint. That's a concept that I created starting last year during the pandemic. And it's expanding this year to incorporate other areas of Flint. Started downtown last year. This year, we're branching out into other neighborhoods, offering free fitness classes to the community. And um, I'm really excited about that because, number one, that's reducing barriers to exercise. And number two, that's giving a social aspect for people to be able to be healthy and active. So that's what I'm doing now, Get Fit and Flint. And then secondly, I also have an apparel line. I always forget to mention that. That's just which is sad because I be doing too much. So I also have an apparel line. And so right now I just released a swimsuit for Harambee Apparel. That's new. Never had a swimsuit in the lineup before in the mix, so I'm really excited about that. That launched last week, so I'm trying to manage all of that, and then coaching clients, health and nutrition coach to help women live their best life and stop overthinking the whole fitness and weight loss thing. Just, how you go on Google and try to do XYZ and you're not seeing the results you want. I'm trying to prevent that from happening any further because that's a frustrating point for a lot of women.
Yeah, okay. All right, so the next question is our thoughts on physical fitness. Basically, and I know you kind of touched on it a little bit, but it's kind of like how do we even get into physical fitness and what do we enjoy most about it? So me, I got into physical fitness. Well, okay, to be fair, I was an athlete in high school. So I played sports. Um, Between middle school and high school, my sister and I did a lot. So between like we did band at one point. So there's like the marching band. I think we did dance at one point, like pom pom, cheerleading, softball, basketball, volleyball, track and field. So throughout school, we were athletic. And then, hey Mildred, I see Mildred came on, and Pink Cupcake. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, I When I graduated from high school, to be completely honest with you, I was done playing sports. So it was kind of like I don't really have to be athletic. I don't really, have to exercise like that. I felt like I was fine. But I had a misconception too of what it meant to actually like the purpose of exercising. In my mind, I was slim. So like if I'm already skinny, why do I need to work out? You know what I mean? Like that I'm just being honest. That was my thought process behind it. Yes, there was echo. That's part of the reason why I put this in because it was my other phone. Um, so I was just like, okay. So what happened is that I started taking dance classes when I was in college. I've always been interested in dance, but I had never had any formal training. So I started taking dance classes in college, and what happens? I ended up injuring myself, which led to okay, you got to, you know, do physical therapy. And the problem is that physical therapy was so expensive that I couldn't afford it. The dance classes were actually more affordable, particularly ballet, because they use some of the same muscles and strengthen some of the same areas that they wanted me to strengthen doing physical therapy. And so that kind of spearheaded my fitness journey. It was really about like recovery and rehabilitating the areas that I had injured. It was my SI ligament on my right side. So that's basically my whole, like, your right side, my glute down through my thigh. And the pain went down to my knee, basically. And then I had a totally unrelated injury in my rotary cuff muscles. So all that to say, what helped me the most with healing those was actually weight training. So that's how I got into like not heavy weights, y'all. I do like probably 5 pounds, 10 pounds, most with like 20 pounds max, probably with my arms. Like, and I just got there, and that's every once in a while. But still, just consistency was really what helped me with that recovery process. So that's basically how I am now. And what I enjoy most about it, honestly, I like to jog. I like running more than I like weightlifting, to be honest. I hate arm day. That's probably the day I skip the most, but it's a day I need. Don't judge me. The point is, I'm here. We trying. Okay. So, Marquita, I posed the same question to you. Oh, Marquita, someone asked, is there a link to your clothing line?
HarambeeApparel.com. Yep.
So while Marquita's answering the question, I will try to send that in the chat.
Yeah, both of them, because I don't have my earpiece down here, and this echo is driving me crazy. I should say it's driving me crazy because I'm afraid that it's echoing for other persons that are watching. So that's my only concern. So how did I get started in fitness? All right, so I remember like it was yesterday.
Did I type it wrong?
Oh, there's a space in there.
You remember like it was yesterday?
I really don't remember it like it was yesterday, but I do remember it. I started so I realized that there was a lot of stuff going on, like medically, you know, in my family, and so I wanted to prevent the likelihood of me having to being on medication and everything and being overweight. I didn't want to have the risk factors that are very prevalent in my family, on both sides of my family. And so I was already overweight. I wasn't like morbidly obese. I was almost 200 pounds. And I was like, I don't want to, you know, it can only get worse from here. If I don't start doing something now, I would have to, I would go down that path. And so I was like, I need to lose some weight. That was the initial reason why I started exercising. And so I wandered into the weight room, started working out with somebody, and it was basically like, all right, you do what I do, don't get in my way. No lie. Like that was legit it. That's just how he is though. It wasn't like to be mean or nothing. That's just literally how he is. And so I started lifting weights. So I got my start in the weight room. And that in itself was a challenge because it's not common for women to be in a weight room. So of course, every time I go into the weight room, some guy is like, oh, you know, you need some help. Like, you know, just trying to talk to me or whatever. And so that was annoying. But on the same token, I learned how to hold my own in the gym. So, you know, when I always talk about how you may feel uncomfortable in the gym for not knowing how equipment works, I had that moment. You always feel uncomfortable in the gym because you think people are looking at you because you're overweight or because you may be doing exercise wrong. I had those moments. Guys that thought they knew more than me. They probably did, but, you know, I didn't ask for your help. So, like, why are you coming to me? So that's how it got started. So 4 or 5 months into activity in the weight room, I finally found like a group fitness class schedule.
Okay.
And on that schedule, I saw Zumba. So I was like, all right, I'm gonna check it out. You know, the kickboxing, the steps. I was like, I ain't coordinated enough to do all that. So started with Zumba, and it was uphill ever since. I won't say that my first Zumba class was like the best, but it was fun. So I kept going. I kept getting better because I definitely am not known to be a dancer. 2 left feet, but I have my own rhythm. So that was how I got started in fitness and just deciding to work out. However, it was not until I saw the progress as well as the mental effect that diet exercise had on me that it stuck. Because, you know, like the Snicker commercial, you won't like me when I'm angry,
hungry. Yeah.
Hungry. Yeah, that was me. That was legit me when it came to fitness. So if I didn't work out, I was not a happy camper. Don't talk to me. I literally would plan my life around exercise. And so it became a habit. So it took a year before it became like a hardcore habit. So whenever I think about where I started to where I am now, I will never forget that process. Never forget that process because it was a cycle of learning. Like my eating wasn't where it needed to be in the beginning. Because I was born 11 pounds, 4 ounces. My mama will tell you the story. To you in the grocery store, you see my mama, she's going to tell you I was 11 pounds, 4 ounces. So that, I mean, I was a big baby. I was an overweight child. In college, I somehow was a normal weight with like the normal weight range. But after college, the pounds started coming on. So yeah, I just needed to lose weight to prevent all the stuff from happening. I didn't want to have high blood pressure like my family members. I did not want to develop diabetes. I did not want to increase my risk for any cancers that run in my family, because I have a lot of stuff, that I am genetically predisposed to just based on cultural habits in my family. In the African American community, our diets are a certain way. So that's how I got tricked into fitness.
You got tricked into fitness.
Got tricked into fitness.
Well, it's interesting you brought up the whole like family thing, because I mentioned this some time ago. Well, because for me too, which was another reason why I got more aggressive about working out, particularly with weights. Some of the comments I just wanted you to say. Some people are like, "Wow," because you were so big. I just want to say that. Thank you, Auntie. Unfortunately, Facebook, Marquita got kicked off again. So if you guys want to finish watching this, you can find us on Instagram under Harambee Wellness or under Call Me _Miss Royalty, and you can watch it live there. But we're going to post a link to the video later once it's finished airing today. But yes, I told a story about how I was diagnosed with uterine fibroids, which I do have other women in the family who have had uterine fibroids as well. And so for me, the process actually started, I want to say I was 22 when I was first diagnosed with them. And at the time, the gynecologist that I had was basically like, they were small, you're fine, you can basically, you don't have to worry about them as long as you get married and have kids before you're 30. That was basically what I was told. Yeah. Pink Cupcake said, I'm in love with your products, Marquita.
Oh, thank you.
She went to the website. So anyway, the doctor was like, as long as you get married and have kids before you're 30, you should be fine. Okay, well, fast forward about like 5 years when I was like 28 years old, and I had to have surgery to remove the fibroids because they had gotten so big. And of course, we hadn't been watching them because, it was so small at the beginning, there was no reason to, supposedly. And unfortunately, we let all that time go by and we weren't watching them. And so the largest one grew to 12 centimeters and they removed 9 of them out of my body. So I have pictures floating around here somewhere. Like if you go to my blog, you can see it. But I actually looked like I was pregnant. And that's just how big my uterus was. And so I had to get the surgery to remove them. I initially didn't want to because the idea of getting cut open just kind of, made me uncomfortable. And and then I had the nerve to actually watch YouTube videos about the surgery. I don't know if they helped me or hurt me, but either way, it was done. But I was trying to find natural ways to cause them to shrink. And so there were people were saying eating a plant-based diet, a lot of leafy green vegetables, and rigorous exercise were ways to actually help shrink them naturally. So of course, once I recovered from the initial surgery, I had to go through the process of re-strengthening my core muscles. So that was one thing that needed to be added to my workout regimen, right? But then it was just getting more intense so that I don't have to worry about having the surgery again. So much for the whole get married and have kids before 30 because I had the surgery at 28. So we're past that. But I'm at a place now where I'm healthy enough to have children if, when I choose to. But that did play a role in me getting more intentional about my physical fitness journey. So what do you enjoy most about working out or physical fitness in general?
Okay, so I'm like, I don't know what I enjoy most about working out, other than I guess in the vain aspect, and I hate to say it, is the physical change, right? But when you pose the former question, the latter question, I would say, what do I enjoy about it is really learning, because just based on what you just shared, I remember that stage in your life, because at that time, it was like a lot of people I knew were having medical issues related to fibroids. And so the way my mind works, because I also have a background as an engineer, right? So I'm just like over analytical about everything. And so the thing that I love about physical fitness is, number one, understanding that there are benefits to it. And how do you connect the benefits to the person? If there's, in between those benefits and the person, there may be different issues, mindset, or challenges that a person may be facing. But how do you come up with a way to close the gap so that they are more likely to stick with the habit of diet, and I hate to use the word dieting really because that creates a different connotation, but nutrition and physical activity, because I want to reduce the likelihood of having conditions mentally and physically that will manifest themselves in your body in a way that is not going to put a smile on your face. So that's what I love about physical fitness, being active, is that aspect. And dare I say, I'm more in tune with it for how it impacts other people than my own self, my own body, because I know I'm gonna get mine in regardless, right? But I also have to be intentional in such a way that what I do can impact and inspire someone else to just pick up on the habits of what I am trying to encourage you to do. And it took some years to really realize, like, you can't beat somebody over the head to work out. Like, you can't say, hey, you need to go to the gym. Hey, you need to work out. Hey, you need to do this. Hey, you need to do that. Because nobody is really, that's not how people process things. That's not how people learn. That's not how people want to be talked to, that type of thing. But I will slide into it. You said your goal was XYZ, so why are you eating McDonald's every day for lunch? I have to come from that position and break it down like the why. And again, to close the gap.
That was good. A Brown 472611. Hey Ashanti. She said, Marquita, your story gives me hope.
Can
you see it? Yeah. And DOP Noble said it's not truth is not a real motivator. Yeah.
And I've never been the type of trainer that like yells at people, and all my clients will tell you, like, I'm not a drill sergeant, because one, I don't like to raise my voice. I don't like to raise my voice. I am loud. I'm a loud person when you get me in the right setting, but I don't like to raise my voice. I don't like to, yell at people and all that, because I don't like to be yelled at. I was the type of child, you raise your voice at me, I'm going to start crying. I didn't get many whippings as a child, or spanking. Let's say spanking, in case the CPS police, it's 2021 now. We can't talk about things like that. But yeah.
Okay. So where does mental health fit in with your fitness journey?
Ooh, mental health in my fitness journey. It's twofold. So you have like I'll start with the for real mental aspect of fitness, and that the mindset around it. And that's a lot of what my coaching is about now, as opposed to in the past. It was more so just work out, eat good, and boom, boom, pow, you get results. But realizing that I also have to train the mind to get people to realize that your results is also conditional upon the way you think about yourself, what you think about the food you eat, the relationship that you have with food. And for an example related to snacking, a lot of people like to snack. I'm a snacker.
I am too.
I had some plain potato chips before, I came home. Like, I'm a snacker, right? But there are so many misconceptions, or just what you see on the internet and people around you, what they're saying about different foods. But keeping in mind, when it comes to food cravings, which drives the snacking, there's a trigger behind it. And so that comes into like the mindset and your mental state when it comes to with food. And so developing your relationship with food helps you to really navigate your weight loss journey, or your journey to become more physically fit. Whatever your goal is, it all starts with what you believe in your mind. And so I had to recognize my triggers when it came to food. I actually am not a stress eater. When I'm stressed, I don't eat. So that I have the opposite effect. So I had to realize that. Also, sometimes you just want to munch on something, or sometimes you may be craving something salty and crunchy, especially like for women. I learned and realized certain cravings around, like, menstrual cycles, craving salty food, craving carbs. That is all related to just being a woman. When I became more in tune with that, I was like, man, I want some potato chips. Or, oh, I want like some crackers, just random crunchy, salty cravings. I would look at the calendar and I was like, oh, this is what's happening next week. So again, just really understanding those things helped me to navigate my eating habits, which are related to fitness. So that's that mindset, being in tune with myself. Now, mental health from the standpoint of managing stress, managing anxiety, managing body confidence as well, because that is a driver towards all those things. Personally, my anxiety is related to everyone around me. I'm a Pisces. I'm a little bit of an empath, so I kind of people around me. I'm an introvert, so other people's energy impact me in a way that causes me to take on their strife. And it wasn't until I realized that I was always putting myself lower on the totem pole of importance, and that was causing my stress. So much so, and I can't, there's a word, psychosomatic issues, which stress manifests itself in your body in the way of aches and pain. 2007, 2018, I literally was having issues with my shoulder. Like, I could not raise my range of motion was just jacked up, for lack of a better word. So I ended up in physical therapy due to stress, because I carry my stress in the back of my neck and all along here, like this tension. Like, I'll be at the computer and I'll tense up, frown up, like just holding those muscles, and it just manifested itself all in this area, because as women, we tend to carry our stress in our neck and shoulder area. So I remember, because I was having trouble doing push-ups and just really raising my arm and just certain things, I started out going to a massage therapist who actually practices medical massages. That was helping, but that was just a Band-Aid. Yeah. So I went to my primary care physician to really figure out like what was going on. Had an MRI, had an X-ray, and she was like, all right, all that looks good. So yeah, basically, I told her what else was going on. She said stress can manifest itself, because it was like knots in my shoulders and everything. So I was in physical therapy for like 6 weeks, and during those 6 weeks, I was like, I never want to go through this again. Like, So I learned to manage my stress better, because I never wanted to take an hour out of my day and go through them exercises. So, so that's the importance of how mental health has become important to me. Managing stress, anxiety, all of that, because I did not want it to physically impact my body, especially in for a smaller and more common example. If you think about headaches, yeah, headaches are a common trigger for how your mental health is impacting your body.
So Facebook, well, George said that you like to make him hurt. But so Marquita got kicked off Facebook and we couldn't get her back on. So if you want to, you can join us on Instagram Live, Harambee Wellness, or call me _Miss Royalty. You can find us both live right now. To add to that, Marquita, for me, this is actually what led me to writing my book, because I went through a period of just dealing with this deep depression and I didn't really know what caused it. But it really took a head, interesting enough, around 2009-ish, maybe 2008, 2009. And it's funny how you mentioned the stress in the neck and the shoulders, because I had that particularly on my right side. And that's what led to the whole, the initial disruption to my rotary cuff muscle. Because they would take these x-rays and they're like, everything looks normal. But I'm like, but I feel abnormal. So you got to tell me something. So they put me in physical therapy to work it all out. But it was just kind of like, yeah, your range of motion was definitely weak. So there was some improvement. But like I said earlier, the physical therapy was just so expensive. But I will say that particularly when it comes to like the mental, like managing anxiety and stress and things like that, I did a very poor job at that. Granted, I didn't know what all I was dealing with at the time because I couldn't put a name to whatever my problem was. But I can say that it affected my body in so many ways. First off, I remember when my hair fell out. Like this was the first time, right? As an adult. And I still have the spots in my head, but like the left side and my right side, this is part of the reason why I cut my, shaved my sides back in the day and left it shaved for so long, because these two sides literally went bald. And I mean, I had so much hair everywhere else that I could like wear a fro and no one noticed it. But it was like basically as there is this on like probably a spot this wide. And it was literally because I was so stressed out about whatever it was I was dealing with at the time. To add to that, I had a lot of physical pain that nobody could explain. So again, I was going to the doctor, they're sending me to specialists. Sometimes they're like, oh, well, because of your age, doesn't make sense for us to test you for certain things. So they didn't test me. Or they'll be like, okay, we can take the scan, but because you're not a certain age, it doesn't make sense for me to diagnose you with this. I'm like, I feel you, but I feel this pain. I'm not making it up. So I'm gonna need somebody to give me some kind of an explanation as to what's going on. But then there was that. There was all these random food sensitive, like food related illnesses that I kept getting. Again, nobody could explain it. I was getting like regular bladder infections. And my doctor at the time was just like, she asked me, like, why does this keep happening? Ma'am, I'm coming to you. You the professional. You tell me.
I'll give you the money. You tell me what's wrong.
Right. Like, I'm paying you to tell me what's up. If I knew, I wouldn't have to come to you. But it was just like so many things that were just going on, and there was just no explanation. And obviously, it wasn't until many years later where I realized I was going through that, like the depression, that really affects your physical health. And it was just like, I can't stay. Like, I was just having pain in so many places in my body. It made it difficult just to just be, you know what I mean? And I was just like, I had to be intentional about living, I guess. Like, I couldn't do anything. Like, it was just like, I danced at church, and it was like, I took a break at one point, then I got back in, but I was trying not to be as involved as as I used to be. And it was just so much to it. And I was just like, I'm trying to be present, like mentally present, physically present, like spiritually, emotionally, rather. And I just didn't have a handle on it. And it just affected my body in so many ways. I had gotten down to like, I'm already small. I'm 5'7.5", if that's any reference to like my height to weight. And I had gotten down at one point to like 113 pounds, which for me is small. Like, that's really small. Like, anything that's small. Like, my doctor wanted me at like 130 and above, and I was at like 113. So, hey, Keisha. So that was something that I really needed to, like, I needed to do something. It was just like, I had to work on my appetite. I had to work on like how I handle stress. I had to work on just even emotionally. Like, I couldn't even be emotionally present. Like, there were times where just like I had control over how I express myself emotionally, and there were times I just had no emotions to express. You know what I mean? So it's just kind of like people act like I had this nonchalant attitude, which technically I did, but I
wasn't personal.
Yeah, it wasn't personal, right?
Yep.
And that was something that like I didn't know how to explain that. Like, even like trying to be involved and do things, like I would show up late, leave early because I didn't really want to be there, but it's like I'm trying not to like just keep myself locked up in a room. And people are like, you don't really care, do you? I don't. Like, I don't know how to tell you that, but I really don't, because I feel like I'm dealing with other stuff that nobody else cares about. You know what I mean? Because I think that was probably one of my biggest issues. Like, I feel like I'm trapped in a bubble, and it's like I don't know how to tell other people that something's wrong, but it's like I expected other people to know that something was wrong. You know, it was kind of, yeah.
That's a key thing. Like, say that part again. Say that last part again, because that's key. That is legit key.
It was like I knew something was wrong, but I didn't want to tell other people. Like, I couldn't tell people that it was something wrong with me, but I wanted them to know that something was wrong with me. Like, I needed them to figure it out so that they could offer whatever help or advice they could, as if, you know, I mean, I don't know. I guess I expected people to be telekinetic. I don't know. I don't know what I was thinking.
I've been there. You expect you was because you feel like you my person, like you my people. You should be observant enough to like step outside your own bubble and see what's going on with me. I
Yeah,
shouldn't have
like
to tell you.
yeah,
You really care like that because I've been there. And I'm like, if you really care, you would notice.
yeah. That's exactly it. If you really care, you would notice. It's like, how am I walking around like a zombie and nobody knows that that I'm a zombie right now? Like, but I'm
Yep,
supposed to continue doing things business as usual. And I think
yep,
that what made it such a struggle. It's like y'all expect me to show up for y'all, and I'm barely showing up for myself.
yep.
And so it was just like it was a struggle. Like I remember having a moment at church of all places where I literally broke down in the bathroom, got myself together, and then I went back upstairs and went into the sanctuary, business as usual. But Sean Hart, I got to shout that man out because he was the one. Something about him and Ishmael Milton. Yep, I put their names on blast. If they ever watch this, they'll know their names are in it. But those two always knew, even if they never said anything to me directly every single time, it was like they would say that one thing that one time at the right time, and it was like, okay, that was what I needed to hear. And Prophetess Johnson was the same way. Of course, she was on the mic most of the time, but at least she said what needed to be said. But it really did. It took like that one person at that right time, at that right moment, where it's like, okay, I need to breathe. And I need to remember I just got to take this 1 second at a time because I may feel great right now. And then like literally in 2 hours, I just feel like crap. So
Yep.
it was just like one of those things where it's just like, I couldn't, like I cried in front of my dad. And this is really saying something because I don't do that. I don't cry in public, first of all, right? Yeah. And then like I broke down at work once and I was just like, something got to give. And then like I cried in front of my dad and like I never do that. Like my dad is great, right? But I don't cry in front of him. You
I
know what I
get
mean?
it. I
Like
get it.
that's
I
not
totally
that's
get it.
not I don't do that. But I did. This was I was really going through it. I remember that time and I saw like I never saw him get that like sentimental, you know what I mean? Like he didn't cry, but his whole demeanor just changed.
Yeah.
You know what I
Softened
mean?
like my baby.
Yeah. And I'm his
Yeah.
youngest girl, so that's kind
Mhm.
of like, all that plays a role. But yeah, I just kind of like was like, we gotta do this, and it was a process. Like it definitely took a lot of effort on my part, me being intentional. But it did take me working out helped because it got me outside of myself. Dancing, like all of that stuff, it gave me opportunity to move my body for one. And there's something about, they say how physical fitness and activity, how it releases certain, I guess chemical reactions in the brain or whatever, and it actually helps the body, and how that stuff can actually help your body heal. And so it was kind of like a mental thing where it's like, I'm learning that this is helpful to me. Doing something physical actually helps with my mental. So let me do this and see how this works as it progressively evolves. And that was like, and then of course I kind of had to because I had all these physical things that require some kind of physical fitness to heal. So it's just like putting two and two together. I was like, well, mentally, I know that there's a positive outcome if I continue this, especially for my mental. So let me go ahead and move forward with it. Even if it's just something simple as I walk for 10 minutes. If I had to walk, I walked for 2 hours at one point, but I walked as slow as life. But it was a starting point for me. And that just kind of that definitely helped with my mental and emotional state.
And I totally can relate to like everything you just said, starting with the last part that you mentioned as far as like physical and mental being connected. Because even when I'm down and out, one thing that is going to remain constant, I am going to work out. I'm still going to have my workout time. And that's partially because, as I described in the beginning, about how I would schedule my life around my workout time when I first got hardcore into exercising. But, you mentioned your dad. I remember during the time where I was like really having high levels of stress and anxiety for everything. I remember I was coming home. We were leaving some event and my dad caught me off guard, like totally off guard. He was like, he's driving. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. He's like, "Are you depressed?" I'm like, it came out of nowhere for like two reasons. Number one, it caught me off guard. So when I was like, yes.
Oh, you
And
were
that was
honest.
like my realization that something was wrong with me. I don't want to say like wrong, but something was like off. And I knew something was not right. And by saying like him asking me that, because my dad don't talk like that. That's not him. That's not like, so it shocked me. And I was so caught off guard that I didn't have time to think about a response, that I gave the natural response and, the truth, because you'd be like, no, I'm good. Like, no, it was just like, yes. And that was it. And then I asked him, like, what made you ask me that? Because it was so random. And because this was before physical therapy. No, it was around the time of physical therapy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so depression has many different faces.
Yeah.
And in levels, and there's so much stigma around it, as well as like when I said, something was wrong with me. And I didn't want to use the word wrong because people use it in a way to make you feel like you're weird or something, like in a way that kind of ostracizes you from the rest of society. But everybody has that moment where, those bouts, man, that moment can be a day or it could be years where you are feeling a certain way. It could be, just feeling over, like I'm not a medical professional, I'm just certified personal trainer, so, not a therapist, but it can range from, I don't feel like getting out the bed this morning, or the next morning, or the next, like it could be like that, where you have no interest in doing anything else but just breathing.
Yep.
Because that's all you can do.
You ain't got no choice.
Right. Because you can just feel so overwhelmed, and it takes, if you aren't able really to cope or just understand what's going on with you, around you, how different things are triggers. Your external environment is a trigger as well, as far as like the weather, If you suffer from migraines all the time, every time the weather changes, that can take a toll over you over time. That can affect your mental health. You can become depressed because you have migraines, because there is not you aren't able to get relief. There is an external trigger of, if you go to work and you don't like the people you work with, that's going to evoke an emotion within you that is going to cause you to feel a certain way. Then that can manifest itself as, I don't like this job, I don't want to be here, I don't care about this. And then you can find yourself in a whole little funky rhythm over time. You're just like, why am I even here?
Yeah.
Then you start, possibly showing up to work late or just not doing work at all. And then, that's a snowball effect for how things are affecting your life outside of work. And so the stigma around depression, in that, like the commercial, I get the commercial with the frowny face, that they have on the sign.
Yeah.
And taking it off. I mean, that's an accurate, I think, a reflection of it. But I think that also kind of puts it in a connotation that kind of minimizes the overall scope of what depression can be.
Yeah.
Whether, it's bipolar depression, where you have those rocky moments of you're really excited and happy one day. My mom swears, my mom thinks I'm bipolar because I'm an ambivert. And I don't think she understands.
I get you. We on the same page with that one.
Peopling is hard for me. My mom's a talker. She is a talker. So sometimes I could be rocking with her, and then 10 minutes later, I'm just like, why are you talking about it?
Yeah.
So she swears off bipolar for that reason. And that in itself is a misconception about what bipolar disorder is. So, it's like, I don't know how you could change the narrative around mental health aside from actually just talking about it, having a dialogue.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see nobody suffer in silence because of how they're feeling. And I will say that thanks to the pandemic, of course, COVID was horrible, right?
Yeah.
But it did shed some light, open the conversation around mental health.
It did. Agreed. Agreed. And I think people being trapped in the house realize just how important mental health really is for them. It's interesting that you said when your dad asked you if you were depressed, you said yes. I had a doctor ask me that at least 3 different times. I told her no every single time. Again, part of the misconception, my assumption was that if I told her yes, not only would it be part of my medical record, but she would have drugged me up. That was my thought. It's like, you just gonna give me some drugs and that's it. I didn't know like what I know now as far as like you can go to therapy, like there's this whole process you can actually go through. I didn't know that. My immediate jump was she gonna drug me up and I don't want drugs. And I already had like issues, like me and pharmaceuticals are not necessarily friends. Like I try really hard not to take medicine of any kind if I can help it. Like I try really hard. And sometimes, I mean, with the seasonal changes, sometimes the little Zyrtec just has to get me going. But for the most part, I try really, really hard not to. But I was just like, it was a no for me. So I just like, and I knew that I lied. I knew at that point, I knew what was going on with me. I just didn't want her to know.
Yeah.
So
I mean, those commercials don't help. The commercials don't help, you know, the medication.
Yeah, side effects may include suicidal thoughts. Like, I'm trying not to have suicidal thoughts. Why would you give me something that would cause suicidal thoughts? It defeats the purpose.
Exactly. So that doesn't help. I mean, the whole little health industry, like, I don't know what kind of system they really got going behind the scenes with the eyes of the medical industry and pharmaceuticals. But I'm like, all these side effects, you gonna scare me out of the way. I literally could be at risk of losing a foot, but you tell me that I might have delusional thoughts, suicidal thoughts. I might have I think it was something with UTI or dry mouth. I'm like, let me just lose the foot then. Because all these side effects, I don't want to add on to it. But I don't know. It's the thing that I learned about myself mentally and physically over the past year, because like when the pandemic hit, my mind was like, all right, it's gonna blow over. But when they started shutting stuff down, I was like, oh shoot, I gotta keep my parents alive. Like that was my mindset. I gotta keep my parents alive. Like they are what was it called? Pre-existing conditions, risk factors. So I'm like, I gotta keep my parents alive. So I remember I posted up at their house. I would not let them leave the house. I was going to the grocery store, and it was on a supply. I would call it a supply run. On a supply run, I remember going to the store. This was before the mask mandate. I was going to the store. I was in the store, and I'm already a germaphobe pre-pandemic. I was pushing the cart, and I was walking past like 2 people. And I held my breath. And I had like a real mild like anxiety attack, like air droplets was, coming at me. I was like, I started breathing differently. I was like, what is going on? And so it was in that moment I was like, all right, that's the first sign, like, okay, Marquita, you got to get it together because you got to keep going to the store. So I was not comfortable being around people. So I would go at oddball hours and all of that. So my first thought was, all right, I got to keep my parents alive. Second thought, down the road, a few weeks had passed. I was like, all right, I'm not working at the gym anymore. I got to run this business. How am I going to continue to pay these bills? And so anxiety came about was, all right, how to stay alive and how not to lose, loss of income. So I got into this funk, like, man, I couldn't focus on nothing else. And I remember my mom was asking me about something that was not even relevant to staying alive or generating income. I was like, look, I'm trying to figure out how to pay these bills and keep y'all alive. And like, you ain't supposed to raise your voice at a black woman or a black mother without losing some teeth. And so I was like, all right, clearly, something is going on with me. And so, I also remember during that time, because I was at their house cooking for them, my classes, I had suspended all my classes. I did not start virtual classes right off the jump. So I started gaining weight. when my pants couldn't fit right, I was like, oh no, hold on, we gotta get together. We could not get together. I said, it wasn't bad, but I did not like the fact that those jeans were snug. So between March all the way to like May, I had to get out of it. Like I prayed, I was like, all right, God, I need you to stand in the gap and remove from me this burden of fear. And so I put it in his hands. So May 1st, it was like the clouds lifted, the skies parted, and I was like, dare I say, back to normal, so to speak, whatever normal, because I don't think I'm normal anyway. I'm a little weird and awkward, but I was back to a state where I could function like a normal citizen, so to speak. Mm-hmm. But during that time, it made me realize these things. A lot of, we hear about pandemic pounds and COVID-19, COVID had us doing X, Y, Z. And then maybe it was just me, but I personally believe that it exacerbated pre-existing conditions.
Yeah.
Okay. It shed a light. It allowed for things that were deep inside of us to like break the surface. Mm-hmm. And we realized that we weren't able to deal with those things. Mm-hmm. Whether that's manifested itself in weight gain, manifested itself into an increased level of depression, like all of those things. And so I realized like all this stuff was going on with me, like all the anxiety or worried about keeping my parents alive. Like I've been worried about that for the past 10 years, mm-hmm. but I was hypersensitive about it due to the pandemic. Worried about income, making sure, as a small business owner, you always worried about that because you don't have the same luxuries as a business with like a whole team. I'm an army of one. So I'm just, I was reeling about what everything was going on. But all those things were a factor during that time over the past year. But I had to learn how to manage those triggers, those things that were causing me to feel helpless and overwhelmed. Like helplessness and high levels of overwhelm was what I was feeling in the beginning. And because I was able to recognize it, I was able to get back on my workout regimen. I restarted my virtual classes. I was able to really come back like out the gate running, and like for lack of a better word, like all brakes. What's the little saying that the young kids be saying? All gas, no brakes, something like that.
Oh, I don't know.
So I came out the gates running because I was like, all right, I found I got my rhythm. I understood, and I wish to God that I had journaled during the past year.
Yeah,
I wish I had, because the thoughts, and I probably captured some of them on Facebook, but without going into depth. But it was like a whole little come to Jesus moment, and really just understanding and learning about myself again, because the pandemic it took the Band-Aid off of a lot of things that was already going, like those I call them pre-existing conditions, and just learning how to deal with them. And that's what therapy is for, right? Maybe 5 minute therapy, I still I got my groove. I got what did Jay-Z said? So I guess I got that dagger back swear. I'm old now. I don't remember stuff like that. That's how I'm feeling. So yeah.
That's cool though. I mean, like, I will say that through the pandemic, well, the interesting thing about it for me was that I had started some medication for my skin during that time. And there were some side effects to that. Well, actually I started before then, but the side effects happened before then. So I learned some things about myself before then. So when the pandemic actually hit us, like in March, I already had a plan together. So I started doing mental health retreats, which is basically like I take a weekend, I separate myself from the rest of the world, and I like have to like not think about any form of responsibilities. Mm-hmm. And it just gives me an opportunity to kind of reset, basically, so that I'm not like basically overwhelmed. Because it's like the thought of life, I think, is already overwhelming, because life isn't just you just wake up and just live. You have to actually wake up and you have responsibilities, you have things to do. And with that, especially if you have goals to go with that, you don't just go to work, do your job, and come home. There are more to that, right? Like, I'm on a fitness journey, right? I'm trying to gain weight. Like when I relocated in 2019, I was consistent with working out, like very consistent, because our work actually gives us 3 hours a week for fitness. So we get to take an hour out of our workday 3 days a week to work out. So of course, who took advantage of that? Ma'am, listen, you gonna pay me to not be at work. I'm there. But like my consistency, as great as it was, I wasn't wise about how I implemented physical fitness. So I lost 10 pounds in a matter of about 3 months. And so I've been on this journey of trying to gain it back, but in a very, like in a healthy way. So I don't want to just be like, oh, I'm going to gain weight. No. So while everybody else is doing this quarantine, they over here gaining weight unintentionally. I'm over here trying. The struggle has been real. So you just going to give me nothing, huh? But what I did notice about me is that I had no issues being locked up in the house by myself. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, because I don't know if I'm a people person per se. Like I think I'm very like I can be around people up to a certain point, and then it's like, okay, I gotta pull back. Like it's draining. And so it's just like it was so easy for me to go to work and then just come home and mind my business. But it was so easy that I feel like maybe I need to do something about this, because I was reminding myself of how I was when I was depressed, where I didn't want to be around people at all. And the difference between then and now is that I just didn't have the energy to desire any of that. At this point, I was just comfortable, but I wanted to make sure I wasn't too comfortable to the point that I was going back into that kind of like dark hole. So I was like, well, if I get out and do something once every so often, like maybe quarterly or whatever, then that'll give me the frame of mind that I'm not closing myself in per se, because I'm out. I'm just not forcing myself to be around people and do things that I don't want to do. You know what I mean? So that's definitely something that I've been putting into practice, and it's actually been very helpful because I always return rejuvenated and refreshed, and then it's easier for me to like be around people, especially people at work. I like my coworkers, but you know, it just takes a lot of energy.
Girl, I was in heaven not having to be around people. I was, all the extroverted people, they were, going through it. But I was like, I'm cool. Like, this is my everyday life. Like, welcome home. I don't want to see nobody. Like, other than, when I had the fitness classes in person, grocery store, like, you would rarely see me at an event unless it was something that I really knew that I could tolerate navigating. If it did not require me to have for real conversation, I don't say for real conversation.
No, I know an in-depth conversation with somebody that's not surface level. Like, I don't really care what you did last night. I don't even care what your plans are for the weekend. But if you just want to talk about the fact that we are at this event right now, okay.
I don't do small talk. Don't talk. I don't like. What is the point of small talk? Like that's me. Don't ask me. Yeah. I don't understand how I am in a customer facing, people facing position, but I'm not really. I don't want to say I'm not a people person, but I am. I am okay if I don't have to interface with people because it's literally draining. I people are drawn to me for whatever reason. Like whenever I'll travel, it'll be random people asking me to watch their stuff. I'm like, okay, like you want me to watch your suitcase while you go to the bathroom? Ma'am, I don't know you. I'm just some random black girl that's sitting at the airport.
Right.
So people are drawn to me. However, it's tough for me. Like you and I, like I've known you for a while, so right. I mean I can still talk to you. You don't drain me. But right. I know afterwards.
Seriously, yeah.
I know
like that. Like my roommate, I talked to her for a long time because she doesn't drain me.
Exactly.
For some reason, after I talked about 5 people, I'm like, okay.
Woo. When I used to do vendor events, like, well, you have a table set up and you're talking to people, I would be so tired for days afterwards. Like, I would have to block off days after, like, day before and day after the vendor event because I am so tired from it. But because I now know that about myself, I can govern myself accordingly. But again, the past year, I was in heaven. I was like, I ain't got to go to nothing, no events. I was happy as a clam, because I spent a lot of time at my parents' house again because I was trying to keep them alive, and I still am. But when I needed that mental health break from the parentals, I would just take my happy self right on home and enjoy being solo dolo. I mean, I'll talk to friends and everything, but I was good. I do. I will admit, I am itching to get back out to like restaurants and eat with people because I like food. I
I
have my
like food
little
too, but I also like food delivered to my house. So
yeah,
I
that's
mean,
cool.
I ain't
But
gonna lie. I'm one of those people that kept doggone what is it called? DoorDash, Uber Eats. All I kept them in business. Even the grocery store. I said, man, I don't have to. You said I can pay for y'all to deliver my stuff.
I couldn't even do that.
Man, well, I
So when
learned the hard way that I can't do that with produce, but
so that's why I can't do it. So when I was having those like little mild panic, I don't know if it was a panic attack or an anxiety attack at the grocery store, that I mentioned, I couldn't. People were like, well, maybe you should try what's the ship? I was like, I don't know, because I'm picky about my produce. They don't know if they
yeah,
check the expiration date. Because my mom got me like that. Check the date on everything. I need my bananas to be a certain level of ripeness. And
yeah,
so I had
yep,
to learn how to cope with things and being a not being a micromanager. That's a case of micromanaging. Like I can't delegate that simple task because I like things a certain way. So that's part of my problem too. But because I recognize that and because people around me recognize that, they interject themselves into taking the load off of me. And I have come to appreciate that because as I mentioned with the free fitness classes that I do in the city of Flint, it's a lot of work and I actually need volunteers to, help with the setup
yeah,
because there's a setup involved to make sure people are spaced out. I need help with checking people in because I can't start a class and then stop it and go check people in.
right.
I have never been the type of person to ask for help. People
Mm.
around me know that I am this way. And so rather than when they ask me, hey, you need help with anything, I'll be like, no, I'm good. They'll show up 30 minutes early and help out. Like those are the type of people that I now have in my life that make me realize, like, okay, Marquita, it's okay to ask for help,
Yeah,
because they'll make me accept their help by showing up
yep,
early.
right people.
Yep.
So one more question. I don't know if anyone who's still here has a question. If you do, you can go ahead and send it. But the last question for you, well, for us, I guess, is what's next? Like with everything that we have going on, what are we working on now for what's to come?
What's next? Ooh, so you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Because I be trying to do too much.
Yeah.
I'm about to take Harambee Wellness on tour. I have a travel bug. I am I am a wanderlust, and so I love to go places. And I haven't been anywhere in over a year. That is a trigger for me. You go from somebody that goes from traveling at least once a month to 0 times a month. Listen, I'm
Yeah.
surprised I have not been in the fetal position, rocking in a corner somewhere. My passport has not gotten any love. So I decided, on a whim, I'm like, I want to do Harambe Wellness on tour. I'm still working out the details. I got a couple things lined up, but we're gonna take this health and wellness on the road. And I'm gonna invite you too because I'm all about collaboration because Harambe means all pulled together. So we're gonna do something across these United States and maybe abroad, Lord willing, if
Sounds
he
like, well,
puts
my
up the
passport
thing.
is ready to go. So just
Listen,
let me know when and where.
listen.
And my bikini is on the way. So,
Hey,
because
gotta get out the house with that bikini. I don't want to see you sitting in the living room with 2-piece on.
okay, you ain't got my business out there, right? Nobody knew that I ain't wore that out the house. They just saw the
If
video.
anybody that knows you know you would come.
When we went to Carabana, I wore my little 2-piece.
When we went to Carabana,
Yeah, I had on the dress with the little crop top. I mean, the skirt
then
with
you
the little
put
crop
something
top.
else and said,
You said
I'll
what?
go look. If I find the pictures, I think I have, because I don't remember that. I
Well, there
definitely
may or
remember
may
that.
not be a picture, but I wore it.
Okay.
I mean, there's a picture of me at Essence Fest, though.
Okay. I saw that. I was
Yeah.
proud.
She proud of me being half naked in these streets. But these almost good. So what I have going for me is oh, thanks, Tino. People really like the jacket. Okay, so shameless plug. I'm sorry, I'm gonna answer my question, but I might as well put this out there. So I have on Flint designer or Flint based companies. Okay, so these earrings are from the Hoop Mob.
Ooh,
So you know, if anybody's interested, just go to the Hoop Mob, and that's two B's. And then the jacket is Belle Rebel Boutique, and this is just all of our, well, not all of our, but some of our legendary women of color. This is, and it's still on the website too. I think she got some shoes to go with this jacket, y'all, and she got in key sizes. And then of course I have on Harambee Wellness. I'm gonna stand up and show you all because she basically covered up. So it's a crop top. I'm not gonna strip on the social media, but it's the it's the leggings and the and the crop top, which is also on the website. So when you go on the Harambee Apparel, you'll see it. Anyway,
this is a family. This is a family live. No,
family live, right? So I stated earlier how I'm going to get into doing more writing, particularly fictional writing. But I do have something in the works for Flint. I'll be in this state in August. So long as things work out well, my goal is to do a book signing for the book that was released. And I'll show you guys since I haven't actually played the book.
Thank you.
And it's but you know, the process of letting go, 40 days of rediscovering healing. So what I do with this book, the first half of it, I tell my story about like my dealing with depression and just kind of how I thought it started, how I, you know, dealt with it. And then the second half of it is a devotional. So it's like 40 days, but I keep it short, y'all. I was thinking about me when I wrote this. So when I do devotionals, I don't like 20 pages of reading for each day. I don't like 20 paragraphs of reading for each day. I think it should be simple and straight to the point, at least for me. Like, give me something that's 5 minutes or less, and then tell me something I need to do, and then let me go on by my life. So that's how I wrote this. So it's something really quick, straight to the point each day. And it's like an activity. The activity itself may take you time, depending on how deep you get into it. But it's really like 5 minutes or less of a reading each day.
And how do you get the book?
Oh, the book. The book is available on Amazon.com, or you can go to my website, which I will pin on here. I don't know why I didn't do it earlier, but
thank you. That's what I'm here for.
MissRoyalty.com/blessings.
Let me see if I can put it on here.
Oops. I make sure I spelled it correctly.
You said call me MissRoyalty.com. So /blessing. Okay.
Yep, /blessings. And then you'll see literally all three of the books that I have, and they all are available for purchase on Amazon. So yeah, book signing in August, and there are a couple other things that I'm working on, like my fictional title, which I don't have a title to it yet, so that's why I can't really say much about it. But I'm also working on a dream journal. So something that's a little bit sidebar. People who know me know that I dream all the time. And I usually have very vivid and seemingly extravagant dreams. But as I got a little older, particularly at the church that I attended, they talk a lot about like dream interpretation and how that's really about messages that we receive, like spiritual messages we receive. And a lot of them are relevant to like real life. Because I've had many dreams that have manifested in real life, and it's like that made me start taking it more seriously. And dream journaling actually helps us to record it, so that like when we write it down and we reference it, like maybe it's a month from now, maybe it's 2 years from now, but we see that we knew or we had some insight as to what was going on based on the dreams that we had. So my goal is to release a dream journal that kind of, I don't want to say guides people per se, but it's just like an aid to help people's process when they are having dreams and they're trying to, you know, understand their meaning, or maybe there are some elements that seem to be very common in different dreams. It kind of helped guide them through the tracking process. So yeah,
put that out tomorrow, because I'll be having dreams and like I got because you mentioned that they happened down the road. Like it started to scare me. I was like, wait a minute, wait, what? Like weird dreams. And then the times where you have the dreams and then you forget. Because you wake up like, oh, you had it, then you go on about your day, and then 2 weeks later something happens that was similar to the dream. I'm like, wait a minute, did I dream, or am I making this up in my head? So I wish I had something that I could write down these drinks in. So tomorrow, or I'll look for that on Amazon.com. Thank you.
Okay, we'll see what happens, but it's gonna come out soon. Janae says she got my book. Thank you, Janae. Oh, will the love be saved? I want to go back. Oh, the live. Yes, Mildred. Yes, the live will be saved, and I will post it later. Oh. Well, I mean, is there any last words you have, Marquita?
Keep hope alive. Boom shakalaka. No. No, like I guess I'll give words of encouragement to anyone that finds themselves struggling with anything, whether it's, you know, mental related, physical, emotional, spiritual. Get out of your own head, because sometimes we can be our own biggest roadblock. And I am speaking from experience. Get out of your own head. That's my final words.
I feel that. And if the add on mine would be like, don't be afraid to like be honest and ask for help.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, don't tell everybody your business. I'm sorry. You gotta use discernment. You gotta be selective, because some people will try to use it as a tool against you. So I hope that people have people in their lives they can trust, that they can like really confide in when they have things that they're dealing with. Even if it's something that's seemingly minor, you'd be surprised how big of a deal that really is, or how it can trigger something else. So just don't take anything too lightly. Take the opportunity to talk it out with someone that you trust, right? That has wise counsel.
And not Facebook. Facebook is not a person.
Facebook
don't
is not
go
a
to
person.
Facebook.
I know people like to, air their whole lives on Facebook, to each their own. But when you need help though, just I just say be wise about it. That's all I'm gonna say. Be wise about it. Marquita, last question for you. George asked, when you're gonna write your book?
Huh? When I have time.
So you're gonna make time, right?
When I have time, don't use my own stuff against me now.
Marquita's gonna make time, because what she's gonna do is eventually she's gonna hire somebody to help her run her business. She could easily get an intern. I don't know what she's waiting on. There are high school students, college students who probably need community service who can actually help her. That way she can make time to write her book. But I'm gonna work on her with that.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest struggle.
We in this together.
Absolutely. But I did enjoy this dialogue, in these streets.
Me too. Greatness becoming Caleb. Caleb came on talking about I'm late. Well, we appreciate you showing up for the last 5 minutes. The live will be available later for you to watch. But thank y'all for stepping in with us, joining us. Hopefully we do this again, because I think this was a good topic, a good conversation, and I think there's more we could have, more conversation we can have about it. Maybe we can have some more guests on and talk about their experiences.
Yeah, we're going on tour though this year, so we'll have more opportunities. Hopefully we'll be able to. I need to physically save this live to like download it to my phone so I can upload it on Facebook.
Yes.
Since technology failed me over there.
Yeah, I'm learning. I hope I do this right. So.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. Well, I will see y'all later.
All right. Good night.
Good night.